two, one, two. All my people in here, I am, I am. All my people in here said I am, I am. My people in here, I am, I am.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're listening to Headphones and Microphones. I'm your host, Neil Allison. On the show today, we got a couple of sweet guests. Let's see what we got going on over here. Uh-oh. What is going on? Who do we got here? We got... What is happening?
Look at this.
What is that?
Oh, shit.
What is up, boys?
What's up, brother?
How's it
going?
Good, man. Welcome to Headphones and Microphones. We got, I think we're trying to get Chris. Oh, we also got Chris Keck, who just joined also.
Come on now, Chris.
Oh, man. We got George Matthew on the show. We've got Chris Keck. And we've got Rob Feddersen. It's going to be a dooze.
Look at this Brady Bunch thing we got going on.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. We are...
There's a story.
We are
a guy named George.
Oh, man. What is up, guys?
What's up, dude?
Welcome to the first episode of Headphones and Microphones.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad we could have a bunch of working musicians on the show and artists and whatnot. Dang, look what we got. What does Chris have back there? What is that? What's that? What do you got behind you there?
Me?
Yeah, what do you got? What is that? Check that out.
Is this the whole thing?
That's pretty nifty. You know what that looks like? That looks like this right here. That's the cover to the CD that I just released today.
Yeah!
And I had Mr. Chris Keck draw that right there for me. And
That's the full album vinyl size.
It's your album's birthday, bro.
It's my album's birthday today, and Chris is the father of the cover there on that. So,
awesome!
Yeah, pretty awesome day. The first song you heard when I started the show was the new Midwest hype one, the I Am, which we had that music video come out a couple days ago or a week or whatever it's been, and good one to watch there. What's that all about, George?
Thanks for playing that, dude. Man, I'm getting that echoey thing where I can hear my voice right back.
That's probably Chris. Is it better now?
This might help me.
Oh, yeah, it's Chris. I muted Chris, and all of a sudden we were great.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's like what we're pushing for our lead single for the new Midwest Hype album, Nightglow. So we got the video out on YouTube. I Am. Check it out.
Yeah, it sounds really good. The video is pretty awesome there itself.
Wow. Yeah, it is. It's a great video.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like all that footage was just collected from like the years, like probably a decade of touring and stuff like that. So it was cool to see it being like just montage together over the years.
Yeah, definitely. So let's tell everybody who we got on the show right now. So we got Mr. Feddersen. What's going on? How you doing today?
I am doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah,
and hanging out with my musicians.
Yeah, for sure. And I figured this is episode 1, and you had me on your show, and you had George obviously too. And then figured why not have you on our show here? So,
well, thank you.
Heck yeah. And then so why don't you tell everybody what you were in a band and then it was pretty popular called Loudmouth. What was that all about?
I was in a band called Loudmouth in the 90s. And we got a big break when Metallica came out to see us at the Double Door. Pretty crazy adventure.
That's pretty cool.
Got a single for the soundtrack on Varsity Blues.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying something about that. That's pretty cool.
That was wild. You can't ever think you're going to get a break like that. But it was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. George, what about you? What's going on with your recordings and stuff right now? You just released that, and then you guys just played a pretty cool show in Indy, I know, recently. What are you doing?
Yeah, luckily in January, before everything got crazy, we did a show with Sublime with Rome in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that. It was just I'm sorry, man. I'm like tripping because I'm hearing my own voice. But yeah, man, we're just super lucky to have made it to those size stages and stuff like that. It was at the Egyptian Theater in Indy, and it was a good room and just good sound and good experience. So we're trying to keep that ball rolling, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's pretty interesting watching everybody trying to figure out new ways to stay busy now that we're not gigging. Chris, what are you doing now to stay busy now that we're not gigging?
I've been doing a lot of art.
Oh yeah, I saw you drew somebody. Saw you drew one of your friends the other day. Other than me, I ended up Chris. I asked him. I did the last couple albums myself, and I said I want somebody else to do it. And Chris is he can draw up stuff pretty quick, so I had him do a few, and then I actually wanted to ask you about what are we looking at right there? Is that in Buchanan, or what is that? What is that picture we're looking at?
It's not really a particular place.
Oh, it's not?
It's just something that came out of my head. Just a simple little watercolor.
Well, I liked it enough to pick it to be the album cover I'm going with, so definitely.
Yeah, I like the vibe of that.
Awesome.
Yeah. You guys, did you get a chance to listen to it at all, or?
Oh yeah. It's great.
Yeah, sweet, appreciate
I love
it.
it.
Yeah,
Where can I get it?
Well, you can score it on any of the iTunes and Amazons and Spotify's and whatnot. But that's kind of why I started it. I was like, well, I can't do an album release show. I can't do anything like that. Might as well just hang out with some friends. And then the other thing is, we got to keep figuring a way to support each other also. So everybody was talking about all these ways to, let's help the musicians out. But I wasn't really finding a way that it was happening. So I figured just bring them right here, and then they can, you can pay them directly through their PayPal or whatever. And, have people come on and talk about what they're doing to stay busy and play some tunes for people. And just a good way to hang out and spend the day.
Yeah, dude. You're taking the initiative, which is dope.
Yeah,
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you got there? What is that? You got a guitar in your hand there?
I do. It's my Taylor.
Uh-oh.
It's the Burn and Brew guitar.
Yeah, that's where you look familiar. Some people might recognize you from there.
Right?
Vinyl night, baby.
Yeah, vinyl.
Come on now.
As well as what's the show on WVLP? It's
Left of Center.
Left of Center. You've been doing that for a while now too.
I've been doing it for 8 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, we're
Not stopping.
We're on day one right now for headphones and microphones.
Well, 8 years from now, I want to be on.
Well, we'll do that. We'll have the reunion show every year, obviously.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Happy 420, guys.
Happy 420.
Does anybody want to play a song or anything? Or you got the guitar in your hand. What are you thinking?
Bob looks ready.
I'll play a song.
Well, that would be pretty awesome. Oh yeah, we can hear that.
I've got a song called "Sell Your Car and Play Guitar."
There we go.
So
That sounds
I
like
did
something
that.
we need.
I sold my car and I'm playing guitar.
There we go. Well, let's hear it, man.
Let me. There's some delay going on here. I'll do my best.
Sounds
Here we
good.
go. Dude, that delay is killing me.
Oh man.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Is it your? Is it? Is it?
I don't know if it's mine. Let me take this. Let me get one ear here.
Well, what I had to do, what I had to do the last time was just take.
Yeah, it's really strange.
That's pretty weird. It wasn't like that when you tested it before?
No.
Huh.
I'm saying it. Then it's coming out.
That's weird. I know when I tried it before, it was just weird, so I just took the headphones off when I jammed, but...
I'm going to take the headphones off.
There you go. Cool.
There we go. All right, here we go. All right. Well, I'm climbing up the street, shot where you were me, and I'm calling out your name, but you never kept your name. Now I'm sitting by the road, and I'm feeling like a toad. What else can I do to get through to you? Well, I think I'll play guitar. I'm playing that guitar, and I'm getting pretty far, and the girls are coming round from all over the town. So I started booking gigs, and I'm getting pretty big, and I put a record out. Now the people scream and shout, I'm glad you sold that old car to play guitar. Now she's climbing up the street, shouting, will you marry me? And she's calling out my name, but I never ever came. Now she's sitting by the road, and she's feeling like a toad, thinking, what else can I do to get through to you? Well, I heard she sold her old car to play guitar. Sell your car, play guitar. Sell your car, play guitar. Sell your car, play guitar. Sell your car and play that guitar. Sell your car.
Yeah. Rock and roll.
Yeah, buddy.
Rock and roll. Man, check it out with Chris with the quick wardrobe change over there. He's got a what is it? What's that shirt say? This he does a wardrobe change in between every.
I think it says mid-breast wipe.
Yeah, it might say that.
Mid-breast wipe, right here.
Mid-breast wipe.
Hell yeah, man! Good jams, good jam. Yeah, it's a little. I think it's just when you go live like that, it's a rough, it's like almost like a wavy type of sound, unless you get like the preamps and stuff going, like and a microphone to get right into, I suppose.
There's no delay now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now that I put the headphones back on.
Halfway.
Man, you know what? I wonder if it was something over here with that tune still playing in the background or something crazy. Watch it.
Yeah,
watch our whole 15 minutes was horrible, just power echo all on my end or something.
No, this is nice now.
Well, that's the thing is, first time you suck, I guess, and then nobody comes down and tells you.
But I was talking really slow because I was hearing the word, so I was choosing everything very carefully.
You got to try to be real articulate on the headphones and microphone show.
All right.
Hell yeah, man.
George, I need some lead guitar on that song, man.
I'll
need some lead guitar.
That riff you got is sweet. That that's super classic sounding.
Thanks, man. Kind of 60s vibe, sort of.
Yeah, totally. Beatles-ish.
Well, I'll need you to play some lead guitar on that one for me, George.
I'm down, dude.
I'm not the lead guy.
Stratocaster.
Dude, you rocked.
I got the Strat for you.
I need that Strat. And dude, you rocked on Toxic People on my last record. Not only did you sing backups on it, but you played lead guitar on it, and it was just freaking awesome. Here it is.
Yeah, dude.
George.
That's on Spotify, right?
George Matthew, right there.
Oh,
that's on Spotify. There he is. There's his name.
Oh, now what's that album there?
It's my latest record, Pepper in His Heart.
It's a good album.
And George came and played on it. Thank you. I appreciate that. But George came and rocked it.
Hell yeah.
And
no, dude, that's a sick record.
I had fun making it. It was a lot of fun making that one. I was glad you're able to come out and rock on it.
Yeah, dude, that's on like Spotify and stuff too, right?
It is on Spotify, Pandora, all that kind of stuff. It's on vinyl at my website. If anybody is a vinyl junkie, I'm a massive vinyl junkie, that's for sure. And Eric Norman is saying something to us there,
Eric
Neil.
Norman is saying, "What's up, all y'all?
Come on now.
What's going on, Eric?" Eric is a keyboard
Eric
player.
to play smooth keyboards the whole time in the background.
Yeah, I know that would have improved. It,
we need a smooth keyboard track going on from Eric.
Yeah, we got to figure out all those. We got to break through and figure out all the flaws as we go on the fly. Chris, his Wi-Fi connection's not too killer over there. Whoa! But every time he's gone, there's a new picture every time somehow.
He looks great though.
Right?
Yeah,
I dig that hat.
Yeah, he's a man of few words, but what he does is impressive.
I can't hear you guys are breaking up really bad.
I love it.
Yeah, your internet's not too killer over there.
You're breaking up with me, Keck? You're breaking up with me?
I didn't even know we were together.
You guys are breaking up really bad.
I don't want to break up, guys. Let's keep it going. Please.
Oh, shit.
Yes. Please.
Yeah. So, George, what you got a guitar by you or anything? Now that we've broken through the echo dreams?
Oh, yeah.
What
There's
is
the Fender.
That?
Is that working?
Hit me a
Are the
nice
strings
G
working?
chord. Give me a nice G. Oh, yeah, you can hear that.
Yes. Do you like the G chord with the pinky and the ring finger? Or
I
just
think
the
it's
pinky?
yeah. I think that's the way to go right there, with just the pinky.
Just the pinky. It is. It's more classic, I think.
Yeah, do it.
So you can hear that.
Yeah, man, sounds good. Start strumming away. I'll let you know.
Sweet, dude. I'm gonna play this surf rock instrumental I just wrote recently.
All right, let's hear it.
Off too.
All right, go for it.
So I'll be back in a second after I play it.
amazing.
Yeah, man.
Could you guys hear that?
That was good. Sounded good, man.
George, that was
I
awesome,
call
man.
that the Ocean Kills Surfers.
The Ocean Kills
That's a tentative
Surfers.
title.
Well, because George can't surf.
Well, he's starting to learn now. I think he can kind of surf. He can.
Yeah,
he
I've
can
surfed about like 3 waves in my life, so now I'm at a existential crisis.
Wow, that was a cool instrumental, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I saw
You know more chords than anybody. Jesus.
I saw you're doing a lot of skating to stay busy. What's everybody doing to stay busy? You're drawing, Chris. What's the best thing to do right now? Just are you guys writing a lot, or is what are you thinking?
Writing a ton for me. I always write, but now I have more time, so I'm writing more. Drinking more, that's for sure.
I think most of us, I think, might be doing that. But actually, I think we're all doing that except for Chris, right? Chris is drinking his H2O. You didn't get that memo, Chris. George almost missed the show. He had to go to the liquor store, and he was waiting in line to get a 40-ouncer.
What'd you get, George?
I had to get my Arizona iced tea.
All right.
I got an Arizona iced tea here.
That's a great Arizona iced tea, man.
Yeah, I wish
rock.
As you can see right here.
Rolling Rock.
This is the
love
$2
Rolling
classic right here.
You can't beat it, man. Rolling Rock is
it's one of the best Crispies, I think.
right. I like how you call it a crispy. Nice crispy lager.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
and he's
good
got
stuff.
a glass to drink out of too, man. You're keeping it high class.
Yeah, no.
We're trying to
This
have a
is actually a
society
beer.
here.
Yeah, this is a beer from Dick's Bar that I've been saving for 4 years or 4 months now. So
The beer or
Still
just the
good.
glass? I guess the beer.
both.
Nice.
set it in the fridge after a gig and keep it there for a while.
It's
Oh man.
it's still no. I mean, it's been on the counter, but it's stayed cold the whole time.
Uh,
So it's just the one Rolling Rock. It's not a box of rocks. It's the one. You got the one Rolling Rock, just the big tall boy. Okay, that's good stuff. I've never seen it in tall boys. It's always in 12 packs. So this is an education for me tonight. I can get
Oh, yeah.
single tall boys of Rolling Rock.
it's probably not economical though. I think you can
Absolutely.
get 18 rack for
$2.
like $7 though.
It's pretty cheap.
When I
Yeah, you can get it.
it's-
I saw them. They had them on sale like red carpet. It's 18 rack for $7.99.
My thing is the tall boy is it's 24 ounces, so it's 2 beers for $2. So it's $1 a beer. I mean, that's pretty good. You know?
And it only counts as one beer,
That's my logic.
That's the big.
So-
That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's just one beer.
right? 24 ounces. I just said
Especially
one.
when it's in a small glass.
Because George, there's no small beers, only small glasses.
Only small glasses. Yes.
What are you drinking, Neil?
Proof.
Well, I'm running low on everything, but currently I'm drinking a Heineken. It's a pretty refreshing beverage. It's like drinking water,
Always,
I suppose. But
No, Heine's pretty good, man. Heine's not bad. I don't poo-poo any beer. I mean, of course, I know we all love craft beers and different things like that, but man, Heine's still a great go-to beer. So is Rolling Rock.
have you guys-
And,
have you guys
And
talked to anybody
Stag.
at Burnham yet? Are they still doing carryouts or anything? Or
they started carry out, I
Curbside
think.
pickup.
Yeah. I think they started it again like last Friday and Saturday. So I don't know if they're doing it during the week, but I know that they were starting up again. They closed completely, and then they started up again, I think, Friday and Saturday for curbside.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So-
pretty crazy, man. I mean, obviously all of our gigs have been canceled, and really we don't really even know when it could start back up, which is pretty
No.
crazy. I've heard a couple different places saying different things. I don't know if you think May 1st we're going to be start up, because I'm not thinking so, but
I don't know that it's safe to, I mean, I know, everyone wants to get the economy going again. And of course, like that sounds like a great thing, but like at the risk of all of us, or a lot of us dying, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think that we're out of the woods yet with this thing, it's something that's an unknown. So I'd hate to be a guinea pig and go out there and cheer Feddersen died. He went and played a show for
yeah,
for-
exactly. got
his typical 30 people.
Yeah. He got
everyone died.
He got $300, but he died that next week.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I need the 300 bad, but
I know and it's pretty rough times. And I realized I went live the first time really on Saturday, and I was like eager to play in front of anybody. Like, I don't know if it was like the ego needing attention from somebody else, but I needed to play, and I needed to
nah, that's
like,
not ego. That's what you do.
It's
I mean, we're musicians. We play.
When you go, this has got to be the longest break I've ever had without playing at least one show in probably since I started, honestly.
Yeah, in my entire 30 years of playing, this is the longest break I've ever had. I mean, you just, when you do it for a living, you don't really take breaks or have proper vacations. I mean, unless you really plan out. But when gigs come up,
usually the vacation you're trying to get a gig at so you can make a little money while you're doing it. And that's if you're lucky.
Sure. Right? Yeah, we're going to Portland, Maine.
And that's what's
7 gigs along the way.
And unfortunately, all four of us are we play music for a living, so it is pretty tough right now. But trying to figure out creative ways to stay occupied at home, let alone pay for things to stay occupied at home.
Yeah, I've been listening to so much music. I've been a collector since I was a kid, and I didn't start out as a collector. I'm just a fan of music, but now it's turned into a collection. So I've been busting out so many albums that I haven't listened to in a while. It's just great to go back and listen to all kinds of different artists. Been listening to, this is a great record from Dave Rawlings right here. Dave Rawlings and Gillian Welch. It's called Nashville Obsolete. Been rocking that album, busting out 45s, all kinds of stuff, reading books.
Well,
you've books right here.
You've got an album collection though, like most people don't probably have though, right?
Well, I'm 49, so I've been collecting records since I was a kid, since I was like, I'd say 10 years old. So I have over 5,000 records now. And it's just because I never got rid of them. A lot of guys my age or a little older they all tell me, man, I had so many records and I got rid of them. And I'm just the guy that never got rid of my albums. I just kept every single record I ever bought. So
that's awesome.
The only records I sell are my own.
Hey, there you go. Well, see, I was
a shameless plug.
Hey, no, do it all day. That's what we're here for. Basically, that.
No, I just love records, man. And one thing I love about you guys is, you guys put music out. You guys put out your own records, and that's the gist of being an artist. I mean, if you're a musician, you put out records, and I'm so glad to see that George, you're putting out a Midwest Type record. An awesome band, a genre crossing band that your kind of stuff, everybody can love Midwest Hype. If you're a metal fan, if you're a rap fan, if you're a hip hop fan, if you're any of that, I mean, you're going to love Midwest Hype. And people want to take you home. So the only way they can take you home is if they're really hot or if they have your record. They can take you home. But I think that's the job of a musician. I mean, you just put out a record today, Neil, and like that's what we need to do is put out albums. That's the only mark that we have, is as musicians is putting out records. It's great to do all the digital YouTube stuff and all that, but to have like your album out is paramount as a musician, because when you're gone, when I'm gone, when George is gone, when we're all gone, our records remain, that's your mark, so it's important. And that's why I'm glad that you guys, that's why, I'm glad to be doing something like this and talking to you guys, because, we're musicians and we put out records and that's what we're supposed to do. So,
yeah, for sure, man. And we appreciate not only your passion you have for all your gigs and all of your music you've put out, but your passion for original music and what you've done for over the years, for sure. And I thought for sure you'd be a great guest, especially for the first show.
Well, I appreciate that. And also, you guys are monster musicians, too. You're monster musicians. You guys aren't average musicians. You're not just, novice about it. You guys bring it, every time. I mean, I've seen George countless times just with one microphone
and one acoustic guitar and just mesmerize an audience. You know, people are loud coming in and blah, blah, blah. And then George starts playing and boom, silence because something incredible is happening. It's awesome. And you do the same thing too, Neil. You've got an incredible voice, incredible songs. And, you know, I'll tell you what, if it was 1995, you'd have the biggest record deal on the planet. Unfortunately, the business model of music has changed. And, you know, it's a little more difficult to get like record deals and all that kind of stuff. But it just becomes a game of perseverance. You just keep doing it and you keep playing and you keep putting out music and doing your thing. So,
Absolutely.
you know, you guys are troubadours, man. You're troubadours. So
hey,
cheers.
well, and we're also
cheers to that.
All fortunate that we can still just be able to still do this. And it is crazy because at some point we won't be able to keep doing this if they don't open. And, you know, it is, I don't know, it's pretty weird to think about, but. You know, and especially with the summer coming in, it's usually some of our busiest times for all of us, and to not know if we're gonna have it's pretty interesting. But you can only go day by day, and obviously the health and safety of everybody else is more important than us being able to go get a steak dinner or whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to take up everyone's time yip yapping, but you know, as far as that goes, I truly think that we're going to be busier than ever. I think any musician worth of salt that plays out for a living, once this pandemic is over, we're going to be busier than ever because everybody's going to want to be booking you. And I think that we're going to have an influx of gigs that we haven't seen before. I truly think that. I'm an optimist.
I'm hoping the same, and I could see the same, but I'm also hoping that not every musician on the planet's trying to take any gig they can get or all the gigs, or, you know, it could get interesting that way too.
No, but I say worth the salt. You know, I mean, people that are tried and true, that bring people out, that have a following. I mean, I've got fans. I know you guys have fans. That's the only thing sustaining me right now is fans. So
exactly.
When you bring people out to places and you put on great shows and you play great tunes, you'll always have work. There's always going to be people clogging up the scene that are, you know, just novice at it. But the people that are for real doing it will always get work. I mean, as long as we're putting out good music, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. Sorry to.
No, man. We appreciate your wisdom, and you've been doing it obviously a lot longer than either or any of us.
And I am a wizard.
Well, I'm not too far behind.
No, you guys are wizards.
But hell yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you being here. I've got a guitar sitting here. I'm almost debating playing one myself.
Come on now.
I got a guitar right next to me. It's in a weird tuning, so there's only 2 songs I know in it. So maybe I will do one here if you don't mind.
Well, you're a weird guy, so play some weird music.
Give me 1 second. You boys talking amongst yourself for one.
All right, so when is the new Midwest Hype record going to be out where we can purchase it?
Well, there's a couple singles on Spotify now, but we're kind of on hold to wait to finish the last mixes and masters of the last 3 songs.
Okay, so it's still being mixed and mastered. Okay, so it's still being mixed and mastered.
Yeah, we gotta wait to be able to go back to the studio.
Yeah, that's
it's because we gotta be there for we gotta be in the studio for a couple more mixes. Yeah, that's the problem right now. That's what's holding it back, kind of.
I have a friend, and you've seen her before, Katie Hibbett. She just put out a record, and she played one show, and then the pandemic hit, and all her gigs got canceled. And she went in with Albini, had the record, mixed, mastered, everything done, pressed it, third man pressing, and then the pandemic hits, and she just put this record out. She can't support it. It's so hard. I bought like 5 copies of it just to try and help her out a little bit, because
that type of timing, that sucks so much for when timing really just ruins something.
Well,
good,
she might get lucky now. You never know. I mean, if
I can't hear you though, Neil.
You can't hear me right now? Yo,
I
you
can hear you.
If you,
You can hear me?
build up an online
Oh.
following, that's a total legit way to do things these days.
It is definitely. It's a good thing.
I'm like
It's a
making
really
out
good
the
thing.
words everybody's saying, just kind of like guessing and putting things together. So
I'm hoping it's not that bad of a quality of stream. I can see all you guys really good. Maybe your internet sucks.
it could be me. It probably is.
All right,
man,
well, who
but
knows? Let me. I'm gonna play this
I'm
Chris
here.
Cornell song called "Seasons." Speaking of the '90s, there that was on.
What?
Hell
That
yeah,
was
dude.
what was the movie that was on? It was is that
Singles.
Yeah, it was Singles. So
Yeah, Matt Dillon.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So I'm gonna do a Chris Cornell one called "Seasons." So here it is. Well, hopefully that mic's set up right. Summer nights and long warm days are stolen as the old moon falls. The mirror shows another face, another place to hide it all, another place to hide it all, and I'm lost behind in the woods I'll never find, and I'm left behind as the seasons roll on by, sleeping with a full moon blanket, sand and feathers for my head. Dreams have never been the answer. Dreams have never made my bed. Dreams have never made my bed. And I'm lost behind in the woods I'll never find. sound ever find, and I'm left behind as the seasons roll on by.
Hell yes.
Shit. Could you guys hear that okay or not? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, so here's what's pretty fucked up is I just realized that I forgot to share it. I just made our Facebook page today, so like if I would have shared this on my page before we started, we could have had like all of my people watching this. But I just realized like that only the 40 people that liked it this morning are the ones that would have possibly been able to watch this right now, which kind of sucks.
It's
But,
a learning curve.
It's a learning curve right there. But the thing is, I guess if this is really that spectacular, they can rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's there forever, man.
Yeah, for sure, it'll be there. But that does suck. I realized like halfway through that song, I was like, man, I should have pressed share on my phone on the other thing, so anybody could have been watching this right now. But
All right, the song's going really good. Crap.
no, that was like the least thing I was thinking of. I hate doing Chris Cornell because I hate butchering his stuff. But
You didn't butcher it. You definitely didn't butcher it, brother.
That's
fantastic.
one of my mom's favorite songs. So I ended up after like putting it off for like 10 years. I was like, all right, I'll finally I'll play it for you. So
I gotta say, one thing I love about your concerts, Neil, is whenever you do an original song, you'll say something like, I wrote this one in 1933. And people finally catch on. About the third time you say it, people finally catch on. That okay, all right.
Well, some people believe it. They're like, yeah, this guy's old as shit.
No, you're not. How old are you? You're like 28.
And actually now I've moved into a new bracket in September where I'm like officially an old man now. I turned 30 in September, so.
Oh shit.
I made it to that club there, but yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like I'm probably older than I am just because I started gigging when I was 14 or 15, I guess, and then I got my first like weekly bar gig when I was in high school, 17, I think.
Yeah.
And that was like the thing to show up to high school. Yeah, I was at the bar last night hanging out, you know. So that was cool. And then, so I've been doing it a while. Some people were showing up and watching me gig for years and had no idea. And then they, 5-10 years later, they're like, wait, how old are you? I thought you were my age, you know? The mustache and beard throws a lot of people off.
Definitely. It's all over the gamut for me. I've had people ask me, so you got grandkids? And then other people because when you play music, people think you're younger, I think, than,
Well,
I've
definitely
experienced.
You have like one of those ages that's like mystery age, I think. You could be.
Mystery.
Yeah, you could be.
It's
a lot
49. 49. I don't lie about my age. A lot of rock and rollers lie about their age, and it's no use. I mean, who cares? You're playing music. You're doing something you love. Don't matter how old you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So, this is
Keeps
something
you young,
can't,
for sure,
George, it does. I mean, it's something that, you can't play football forever,
Right.
but you can play music forever. I mean, Bob Dylan's still putting out new albums. So, so Steve Earle, and I mean, all kinds of artists are putting out records. Tony Bennett is still singing. So, we can keep on doing this as long as we want to.
Yeah, but the only thing is, I guess, as long as you're having fun, I guess that is all that matters. But there are a few guys that you got to wonder, like, man, maybe you should have hung it up. I mean, it's hard to say, and especially, like I can think of a few where it's like, oh man, are you only doing it for the money, or is it still? Because if it's something you love, then yeah, who really gives a shit? Do what you
Have you guys ever been to the Holiday Star Theater in Maribel? George, you ever been there?
Didn't they close that place?
I don't think so.
Okay, they did close it, but
just recently, a couple of years ago, maybe.
Just a few years ago, it was a great venue to go see all kinds of artists that were kind of past their prime, and we'd go and see like REO Speedwagon there. We'd see Cheap Trick there, and Killer Band, like they did an amazing job live. Then we saw Gordon Lightfoot there, and Gordon has this rich baritone voice that you hear on all of his albums. And live, it was awful. It was just awful. And like, I think like what you were saying, Neil, about, past your prime. I mean, obviously the guy's out there doing it for the money because he just cannot sing anymore. He sang the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald like this, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It literally like that. Terry and I like paid $80 a ticket. We're like, oh my God.
See, and that's where it gets a little interesting. I mean, somebody.
You guys ever change the keys of your songs? Lower the key of a song to make it easier to sing?
Yeah. I tune
shit.
half a step down all the time, sometimes a whole step down. You know, so like if it's E, then it's D. And everything's from D all the way up.
Yeah. If I learn like, especially like soul music, like not as like Earth, Wind and Fire, anything that's like high stuff, I immediately shift it down like more than a whole step, that's a smart thing. Just to even put it in my range.
You've got a great range though too. I mean, both of you guys have like really high voices. You guys can both like hit a lot of the high stuff. As the years go on, it's harder to hit the higher stuff for me. It used to be easier to hit the higher stuff, but as you do a billion shows a year, it gets a little more difficult. So I'm always amazed when I see you guys. I'm like, wow, the ranges are just. You guys are a lot younger than me.
Well,
but,
and that's one thing that is going to scare me a little bit. I've been my hours of singing per week has gone down dramatically. So I'm wondering if my voice is going to take some getting used to. Because we got locked in on being able to do 4 and 5 gigs, 4 hours of a night in smoky bars, and now when we come back after a month or two not doing that, or who knows how long, really.
Maybe no
doubt.
Our muscles might not be as strong as, so maybe some of these live gigs are kind of essential to do at home, just to keep it fresh. But I couldn't believe how much shit I forgot, man. I forgot what pedals did what. I was plugging stuff in, turning it to knobs, and nothing was working. It's like, man, so it's pretty unfortunate.
I have forgotten a lot of cover songs. Like I'd be like, man, what were some of the covers I used to play? And I try to go through it. And when I'm just sitting in my house, and there's not people around or anything to remind you of the next song or anything, I'm just like, man, America, Tom Petty, and then I'm just like, that's it. I only know 2 songs now, so back to writing my own music.
Yeah, I can relate to that so much. Sometimes I sit and think like, I don't know any of it.
Well, I forgot my own songs. I went live in the first damn song. I sing the first verse twice, and it was my own song, and I'm just like, man, what? See, so it's amazing. A lot of it, I feel like, is muscle memory and just like getting locked into the mode of it. And
it is.
I do like being able to think about just my own original material right now. Like not really worrying about my cover songs or anything, so I can just concentrate on Midwest hype stuff and the stuff have written and want to remember, and like make that my focus, because that's the dream we're all trying to do, is just play original music.
Oh yeah,
right?
No doubt, and it's a lot more forgiving too. When you are doing some cover songs, you're going to be held to that benchmark. So there is a lot more pressure with that for sure. But with the muscle memory kind of thing too, it is hard because it's like use it or lose it. And we screwed up. Terry Ann and I screwed up our own songs. We're doing Facebook Live concerts like just once a week on Saturdays, and we messed up a whole bunch of songs just because we're not out there.
Yeah,
boom, boom, boom.
It's amazing how quickly you can lose it well, now it seems like it's been forever. I don't know what. I look at my calendar occasionally and just it angers me when I see the dates that I should be playing, and we're sitting at home. But
getting all the emails. Well, unfortunately, we're not open yet, so we're going to have to cancel.
Well, you're lucky because I haven't gotten any of those. They're just like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we're still close. I mean, obviously, we all know that we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you just know. Yeah, I mean, it's not everybody's emailing me. Don't get the wrong impression there. That's for sure. But a couple have done that, and it's kind of like, oh, yeah, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be another good one. And
I know you're pretty optimistic. What are you thinking timeline? Are you hoping we can start at the start of the summer here? Or what do you think?
I mean, I think by June, I think people are going to be slowly opening up. I think that, being the type of artist I am, and I'll only speak for myself with that, I don't draw thousands of people. So I think that it'll be pretty good to get gigs again and get back out and play. And I think June, people are going to be itching to be opening up their bars, their breweries, their restaurants, their distilleries, the wineries, all that stuff. And I think that we'll be rolling probably by around June.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that they don't make the social distancing too extreme, where you can, everybody's where you almost lose the connection with the crowd if they're sprawled out too far. But
yeah, Terry Ann's gonna love that. She's not a huggy, kissy person, and people always love to come up and hug her and kiss her, and she's always like,
well, now's the time to shine for all those, yeah.
Right now, I'm the opposite. Like I hug everybody, man. I hug everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love getting together with people and having a good time and giving a hug and playing some tunes and just having a really good, positive time. And a lot of that is it's physical. It's like, how's it going? Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
boom.
Absolutely.
Now it's like, what, elbow? Oh, hey, man. How's it going?
Some people don't even want to do that. It's more of a 6-foot bow, and then,
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
I hope we don't.
I don't know. I hope that people are still wanting to get close and jam and dance and have fun, because obviously that's what we all rely on. And
I think that it's innate in human beings. I don't think that you can ever erase that. People have been dancing, forever. I mean, forever. So I don't think that being celebratory and listening to music and grooving and dancing and feeling that vibe, I don't think we'll ever lose that. I think there will definitely be a little bit of a disconnect, that's for sure. But it's going to be a little more verbal as opposed to, physical. That's for sure.
Well,
but people feel music, so
I'm hoping all the spots that we play can hang on and make it through however long it goes, because even if we start back, it's probably won't be. There's probably going to be at least a small percentage that won't be coming out for a while until they feel safe, and then obviously there's going to be those guys that are like, "Oh, the bar's open, let's get there." and I think in Indiana, in the area we're in, there's going to be plenty of people like that. So it'll probably be a combo, but I'm just hoping that everywhere we play can hang on to make it, and because a few of them have commented that they are struggling, and who knows?
It's hard to think about. It's really hard to think about that because we have so many friends. All of us have friends that own these businesses that we play. Because when you play these places, you inevitably become friends with the people who either work there or own it or manage it, and the people that go there. So it's like a giant friendship that you see go by the wayside. It's hard to think about that, but I know it's inevitable for some businesses. They're just.
I think as soon as people get to feel comfortable, it might take a while for people to feel comfortable, but as soon as we know it'll be healthy to be around, it's going to be a huge celebration of music and life and people wanting to get together.
Yeah, I can't agree.
I think it'll be I think it could be, there might be the greatest times to come. We don't even know for sure, if all this crazy shit takes a while and then it really does clear out and we see a kind of new appreciation for life and art and music and everything, we could be seeing a really golden era for that type of lifestyle coming up. That's what I hope for.
And another thing is, it'd be nice if everybody with the technology, how we're even communicating now and being on your phone constantly and locked only on that for a few months, maybe people actually will really appreciate real life entertainment and real life interactions, and who knows?
Yeah, no, those are some great points. That's for sure. When you miss something, you have that much more fervor for that. Like when you go do something again. If I didn't have a beer for 7 days, and I'm going to go and have some beer for 7 days, that's going to taste so good. I'm going to appreciate it so much. I'm going to have so much more appreciation for having some beers with people and hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially add music to that mix. That's a very optimistic thing, George, and I really I love to hear that. A lot of people need to hear that kind of stuff because I'm an optimist too, and I do think that the best times could very well still be ahead, for all of us. So I appreciate hearing that. I needed to hear that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and there's only
Yeah, I know it's hard to think when there's so much unexpected, but hoping for the best for sure.
And it's weird to
are.
look at our schedule and not be able to even know, like we can't even look at August and go, yeah, and nobody's gonna book us right now either. You can't go,
I know,
well, shit,
right?
we got to start looking ahead, and you can't because there's nothing, And luckily, I saw Maggie's on there. She owns the Whistle Stop, and they're a great spot. I play there every month, and I know she's hanging on, and we're hoping we can get back rolling soon. And there's a lot of check out the surfboard. Maybe he can surf. What's that? We got a little readjustment.
Where's
there.
the surfboard?
The damn sun's going down. I can't see anything. But yeah, it's back there. It's more of a wall ornament at this point.
well, you got the hoop. Is that the basketball hoop, Nerf hoop, still up there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you take a shot for us?
Yeah, that people need to see that. That might get us up to about 4 watchers today.
I'm gonna have to get like a wadded up ball of paper or something to shoot into it. I don't know where the ball's at.
Man, you lost your nerve.
Oh
Like
man!
in high school, you're just shooting shit in the trash can.
George, when did you start skateboarding? Because I see that, and the one thing I always think about is how do you even get good at skateboarding? Because you got to fall on your ass so many times. Like, when did you start doing that? Were you pretty young when you started skateboarding?
Yeah. Luckily, like skating young allows. Yeah, anything you learn young, then it kind of sticks with you better. So since I did it so much when I was like 12 to 22, like that's where it just got more ingrained in me. So I can step back into it and still do stuff.
Man, I feel like an old lady watching you.
Real young.
It's I'm always like, oh, is he gonna hurt himself? Ah!
Yeah, no, it's funny now because that's what I'm like holding on to. I'm like, I know I'm like skate years are like dog years, it's like add like 7 years to everything. So I'm trying to do everything I can now, doing it fully what I can now because soon enough I'll just be cruising around and just pushing around. But it's a good feeling, just being on wheels and moving,
That's amazing.
Neil's out riding fucking miles on his bike all the time.
Yeah, are you, Neil?
Well, I try. I used to, when I was in LA living there, I would try to bike about 30 to 40 a day. And when I was doing that, I was about 50, 60 pounds lighter than I am currently and felt a lot better too. But I didn't drink as much out in LA either. Part of it was because the beer was $12 a beer. But
yikes, man.
It's easier not to drink when you're broke.
Yeah. And it's real easy to be broke in LA. It's really easy.
That's how I was on the road too.
But, But I was curious, who are you guys' influences? Like, if you had to pick maybe like an artist or two that really either when you're young, because I know for me, I've had people ask me, and I can't really narrow it down to one, because it seemed like every few years I would kind of change who I really was not maybe into, but maybe I didn't drop off on caring about the other groups or anything, but I feel like I went in cycles every few years where it's like, man, that guy really impacted me for a couple years, or this guy did that.
Totally. You go in phases of shit being like your absolute favorite.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. What are some of yours, George?
Yeah, let's say what would you say your top, like maybe 2 or 3 or growing up would be that really impacted your writing in particular, maybe?
Yeah, I could tell you like growing up, because when I was like a young teenager, like 13, so like Sublime was still on the radio, or like that was just happening on the radio, like on Q101 and stuff. So that was huge to me as like a young kid. And then through the Sublime world is how I dug deeper into punk rock and got huge into like classic punk rock, like Dead Kennedys and Bad Brains and Black Flag. And some of my first bands, like that's what we played, all that shit, and like Misfits and stuff. And that was my shit. And then through that, I dug in just kind of whatever extensions of that world and went to a huge like Velvet Underground phase and bought like every Velvet Underground record ever. I used to like drive around and listen to like Loaded and White, VU and all that shit. And that was a huge phase for me. And then Man, I don't know. Those were three when I was young. Those were kind of like pivotal because that was when I was like first writing songs. So
Yeah,
like
it's pretty cool listening to your evolution of just the process of your writing you've gone through over the years, even from the beginning of the Midwest Hype to now. And I think maybe a lot of that had to be with before you kind of had Wayne writing a lot or helping, or I don't know how you guys even went about that. To I can really tell what you're doing in Midwest Hype now. When I hear something, I'm like, oh yeah, I know he definitely came up with that. Or you've got
nice.
you've got your own sound now for sure. And so there was definitely a difference. But Midwest Hype's been around now for over 10 years, probably. I would bet at least.
Yeah,
Right?
we're pushing about 12, 13 years now. So yeah, it's like, man, your shit will evolve whether you're thinking about it or not. If you're just writing,
Well,
hopefully, your shit's gonna change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you
As
guys.
long as you're
I mean,
writing, like you're hearing new stuff all the time, so like you're ingesting things subconsciously, you don't even know, and I feel like every time you write a new song, it's almost like you're trying to write a better version of the last thing you did, like you're trying to one up yourself every time you kind of learn something new every time. And it's like, now this is my favorite song,
Yeah. What about
I'm sure
you?
you guys can relate to that.
Feddersen, what would you say is a couple of your big time influences, either from growing up early or even now, really, but mainly when you were younger, when you started out writing? What was somebody you looked up to?
I loved the Beatles, and I hear a lot of that in George's music too. There's a lot of Beatles in George's stuff, but I love the Beatles, and I have every album, of course, from the Beatles. And after I got into the Beatles, I was probably 12 years old when I really started digging them. And then when I was 14, I discovered this band right here, Motorhead. I love Motorhead. It's pure, just fist pumping rock and roll. I never considered these guys like a metal band because Lenny's favorite band was the Beatles too. But I just love music with melody, and I also love music with just some girth behind it. And Motorhead had melody and the girth behind it, and then the Beatles they did everything. I mean, they wrote ballads, they wrote waltzes, they wrote chamber pop music, they wrote all kinds of incredible stuff. Even metal. I mean, Helter Skelter. Yeah. That's a metal song.
Well, and Hey Jude at the end, he's screaming,
raging.
He's like,
yeah.
And maybe that's some of the start of some of the heavy scream type. I can't think of too much of that type of really aggressive screaming going on until that song at Hey Jude. He's really wailing, just screaming at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely his little Richard influence, and a lot of the blues stuff that they listened to, but they encompassed everything. And as a human being, I think we go through all kinds of emotions all the time, and the Beatles kind of portrayed every emotion in their music. There's all kinds of different moods and emotions, and sometimes Hey Jude hits you just right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need to hear All You Need Is Love or Strawberry Fields. Sometimes the older stuff, I want to hold your hand or something.
Yeah, well, this guy's dropping all his stuff, but
George is breaking shit. He's like, screw the Beatles, man.
That's what happens. I think that's a bonus to having three and his pizza down.
Oh no!
Say that. I blew it.
Still good.
He blew it. When you have 3 and 4 really amazing songwriters in one band, you've got a lot of a bonus right there alone. But and that's one thing I feel like maybe we're losing a lot more of now is the band element with how you can loop anything you can do. And I'm doing loop pedals and I'm recording songs all by myself, so I don't have any room to talk about it. But I do envy Midwest Hype in particular. I've always envied the fact that they are a band and a unit that works great as a band, because that's something that's, no matter how good you are by yourself, you can have a lot of great gigs by yourself too, but there's something to having that unit where you're togetherness and you're going through the stuff all together. But not only that, but you got people to lean on a little bit when you're on stage, or any of the
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah,
that-
totally.
in writing, and sometimes all you need is some guy to go, no, that section sucks, and maybe you wouldn't think it when you're going like, oh, we need to go to an A minor right now, and maybe you just need that one guy to be like, no, go to F sharp or whatever it is, and you would have never done it, or small
Yep, that
things.
one idea can totally shape everything. And yeah, and it is. It's like you fucking form like a family, and then it's like you can't abandon that, especially when it starts to run so deep, and you have like this brotherhood. It's like, what the hell else would I do if I left this behind? You know, at this point, I'm like, it would be the dumbest thing ever to not have this band that's a decade in. You know, it's like it's what we do, it's what we love to do. And like we all live our own little lives at the same time. It's not like we live in the same house, you know. And if like we did live in the same house, that we probably would have broke up by now.
That's the thing. Yeah, you guys broke up. Yeah, no doubt about it. But no, it's not. Yeah, after so much time invested, you know, I mean, it becomes kind of sacred to everybody. You know, I mean, because you've invested so much time and have had so many experiences, and that's what was great about your latest video too. Is going and seeing all those experiences and all the fun that you guys have had. It forms like a bond that, you know, you'll be 90 years old, and that bond is still there. It doesn't go away. Being a solo artist, you know, like you're talking about, Neil, I always like to collaborate when I make records. I always bring people in on every album that I make because I already know what I've written. And one thing I don't like to do is like give anybody an instruction. Like, George, I didn't give you any instruction on Toxic People. I'm like, you know, just come in, play your thing, you know, the song, you know, it's nice to get what someone else is going to do as opposed to just like, you know, controlling the whole situation. Like, I want you to do that, you to do this, you to do that.
No, absolutely. I hear you. And I had like I said, I did this last album by myself, and I use that loosely just because I had Nate Miller on bass on a track. I had Eric O'Banion on a couple bass tracks. I had Eric Norman on keys, and I had the sax player from Marbin on the opening track. So, and all those guys basically just let them go do whatever they want to do. And I had Kurt Holloway drum on a song. So the most of it was done by me, but also I knew when to call somebody else in to do the job, or if they could do the job better, why would I not hire them out?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I've been using the drummer for all my albums. I've made 9 solo albums. And, the drummer that I use is amazing. Violin, you know, I always get different guitar for different things because, you know, like my abilities are only to go so far. And when you have other musicians that you respect, that you want to have playing your songs, it just makes the song that much better. And, you know, I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to. I want to know what you know and what you can bring to the table. And there's really no ego about it. It sounds a little weird being a solo artist, but I always love to hear what someone else has to say through their instrument. And, you know, one thing that I've noticed about musicians over the years is that every musician plays like their personality. It's amazing to see people play, like to meet them and talk to them. With musicians, it's kind of like the same thing. Like when I'm talking to you without the instrument, and then there's the instrument you're playing, it's like, your personality is just like how you play. It's a great thing because, you know, music, you can get a different personality when you reach out to other people and have them, you know, come into your, you know, your tune, you know, your world. It's an amazing thing. It's something that I've never taken for granted, and I've never not been excited about. You know, there's always something new with music, and to collaborate is the greatest thing.
Well, who are you? Who are you jamming with currently then? And before you answer this one, do you have your headphones on still right now?
I do. I just have all my hair around.
It's just weird. I hear like another echo coming back, and I don't know
really
what that is.
Yeah, dude, my audio was like trash for the whole first half, and then it got clear for like the past 20 minutes, and now it's kind of a little bit choppy again.
Yeah,
is it
weird.
better now or no?
I don't know if it's. I don't know what it is. Who knows? I guess you take them as they go.
Hey, we're still here, dude. We're still here.
Right? I'm not getting a weird delay, which is great because I had to chop up my sentences earlier, so now I'm late, which is great. So
I know. I was trying to like slow down my thoughts like this by pulling my earbuds out.
I should have did that. Yeah. No, I got my headphones on. I can
No,
hear
all
everybody.
right, that's
great.
awesome. But I know you're jamming with the guys from Burnham. But do you jam with Loudmouth still, or who do you jam with? And I know you said you got the same drummer you've been jamming with. Was he in Loudmouth or?
No, the guy that I used to write albums is Rolfe Feddersen. My solo stuff, his name is Rob Jensen, and he's an incredible musician from Chicago, and he's actually in a bluegrass band called Wandering Voice, where he plays banjo. His band, the Wandering Voice, didn't know he played drums, but he's an incredible drummer. He used to for years. Loudmouth, we did a 20-year reunion concert last June, and it was a ton of fun. Unfortunately, the Loudmouth reunion was because our bass player passed away, Mike Flaherty, and we grew up with each other since kindergarten, the whole Loudmouth band. And,
wow, yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Dude, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we all grew up together. We all went to the same grammar school and middle school and high school and all that kind of stuff. And when our bass player passed away, we also grew up with the bass player from Disturbed. And so we had Fuzz fill in and play bass instead of Mike Flaherty, our old bass player. It was a neighborhood thing. And, and Fuzz from Disturbed is also part of the neighborhood. And we grew up together and are still friends.
So where did you grow up at?
Damn.
Oak Lawn,
Illinois,
just south of Chicago. It's like the first suburb south of Chicago, like
awesome.
87th and Cicero, like right over there. But I grew up with all the Loudmouth guys from kindergarten through high school, and we all decided to give music a go, and we all went going to college and doing other things like that. And it was an amazing thing to actually stick it out and play the club scene, and then get the record deal and tour with everybody and do all that kind of stuff with the neighborhood band. Because I don't think a lot of things like that happen anymore. So it was pretty organic and pretty cool to just have that be a big part of my life. So we did a 20-year reunion concert. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. I did the band. It was a great band. It was fun, but I love nothing more than performing with my wife, Terry Ann. She's my favorite singer.
Well, when did you guys get together, and how long have you been jamming with her?
Well, since I was 19, we've been writing together and recording together. And for the past, I'd say since probably probably 2006, we've been writing together and playing out and doing shows.
Wow.
And all that kind of stuff together. We met in 1989, and we were 19 years old. We just have been together since. That was it. I met her. I'm like, you like me?
That's awesome, dude.
Good. Just stop now.
Hey, that's sweet, man. You guys make a
Yeah,
great
that's
couple,
rare,
and
dude.
she's
That's
awesome.
Well, I love. She's a musician, and there's no friction with hey, I gotta go do a gig, or I gotta go tour, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. There's never been any kind of mistrust or any question about, okay, that's the job. You're a musician, that's what you do. You go and you play, and I toured with my old band, and all that kind of stuff.
Did she go with you ever, or would she stay back? If
we had a 2-week rule, no matter where we were, I'd fly her out, or she'd come out.
well, okay, well, before we even get there, what's the how busy were you tour wise?
My God. I was on the road forever.
Well, so when did that start? That was with Loudmouth, I assume?
Yeah. It started pretty much in 95, like serious touring. 95 to 2001 was like serious touring, like,
Were you signed then, or were you booking and doing everything yourself still?
When we were signed, we were signed. So we were on a label called Moot Music in Chicago, and then from Moot we went to Hollywood Records, and made some records on that thing too. So we did a demo, and it got to the Metallica guys, and they came out to see us at Double Door, and talked about us in Rolling Stone magazine, and like the floodgates opened for labels. Labels started coming out, management and all that. The same management as Stone Temple Pilots, Steve Stewart Management started managing us and
Oh,
getting us
awesome.
on tours and gigging and got us pretty like a good record deal and all that kind of stuff. So we started touring pretty heavily from then, say 95 to 2001.
Wow, man. 6 years you were on the road then, basically?
Yeah.
And did she
Yeah.
and so if you were longer than 2 weeks is what you were saying?
Yeah,
She
we had a
come-
2-week rule. So she either, we did a lot of Midwest states too. So we weren't always on one coast or the other coast. So we had a 2-week rule. Wherever we were at, she'd come out with the other girls or come out by herself. We just host up.
Mhm.
And she thought, it was funny because we got into a rental car in Florida one time. And we had a day off, and I picked her up at the airport, and we got in the rental car, and the radio was just on. And our song "No Hero" started playing. She goes, "Is this your CD?" And I'm like, "No, this is the radio." And she's like, "No, you're kidding." I'm like, "Taryn, this is on the radio.
Oh,
It's
that's
right
awesome.
here. This is it." So, yeah, so pretty neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool for sure. That's always like one of those moments that I feel like they're getting rarer and rarer for a lot of musicians, just because radio's kind of taken a hit just because of podcasts, and nobody really listens to radio anymore. You listen to one song and
there's so many mediums that are out there, which is good and bad. I mean, like you can you can definitely get your stuff out there, but it's just a matter of getting eyeballs on it or ears on it, But there's a lot of good stuff. I like being a musician more now than I did then because I'm in control of what I am putting out there and the shows I want to play and all that kind of stuff. So I think being independent, there's ups to it, there's downs to it, but I think there's more ups to being independent.
My phone's on 1%, boys. I might lose you any second right now. Just
all good, George. Appreciate you being on, and it's been a hell of a
George,
time.
Love you, buddy.
I might lose you guys at any second. My phone's about to die. Just let
Okay.
you know.
All good.
We love
dude.
you, buddy.
If you're gone, we love you. Thanks
So
for
I love
being
you
on.
guys. Hell yeah, this was fun, man.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, George. You're the best.
Appreciate you.
Let's do it again.
For sure.
Come on now.
But yeah, man, well, I really appreciate you being on the show too, man, because it's I never got to hear a lot of the stories about you, and obviously still there's so many more. But it's cool that talking to anybody that's been on the road and done something that probably won't happen again. From the pure aspect of how music was really, and I mean I don't know. I guess it's hard to predict really, and you never know what could happen. But even
No, you don't.
just being flooded with a lot of music, I feel like already makes it so you've got to really find a unique way to stick out, and just I guess pursue constantly. But it's pretty weird how it's a lot. You gotta push in a lot of directions, and when you do it by yourself, you gotta do it all. You gotta record your videos, you gotta do this, you gotta upload, you gotta book your gigs, and
do
it
your
doesn't.
podcast.
Yeah, exactly, and do anything to keep sane, I suppose, too, besides the music. But
but that's also the great thing about being an artist is that you're going to do it anyways. So regardless of the level of success that you may feel or not feel, you do it because you do it. You're an artist, and you have to sing and you have to play. To have like plateaus to reach, I mean, you don't really have to have that because. I mean, music is just about playing and expressing and doing what you love to do. The business model was different back when I was younger. So things happen. If you pack the Metro, you're sold out the Metro, you got a record deal. There was money there were labels, there were people out there that were doing it. You put out a record, you got on the radio, people went to a store and bought it for, $15 for a CD. So that was more the model then. There was just a little more cash flow into the music business because there was physical magazines, physical record stores, terrestrial radio that played your stuff like crazy. And if you had a label that backed you, you got more attention. Nowadays, the model's different because just the medium is different.
Yeah,
like when things go
absolutely.
from vinyl to 8-track to CD to cassette to digital.
Well, the only thing with the digital and then with the overload is I wonder if I haven't found an album in a long time that it's like on constant repeat. Once it's on, like when it's on MP3 form, it's hard to. It's like, oh, there's a song, and you kind of with the digital age, you kind of move quick, so you got to either. It depends, I guess, what you're going for, but it's a weird. It's
Yeah,
just weird, and people's attention span is really small, and I find myself
yeah,
sometimes being like, I'll get 10 seconds in and be like, yeah, I don't know, there's probably other stuff to listen to, and when obviously, I mean, I don't know.
yeah. It's definitely different, yeah, because things do move a lot more fast paced now than they used to, and I think for a lot of people that would go out and buy, say, like an Eagles record, like you went and you worked your job all week, you saved your money on
Yeah,
Friday, you went to the record store and you bought that Eagles album, and you went home and you listened to that Eagles album, and then
yeah,
you showed your
exactly.
friends that Eagles
Yep.
album, and then they dug it. Like there was a lot more focus on
And
a
that's one thing
particular
that's
artist.
real. Uh, I think I don't know. It's tough to get that again. I mean, there's a couple songs, but and it's like, what's the same
Yeah,
deal? It's the radio station just blasting them in your head, and then by the next week though, you're already moved on to the next one. They're blasting through your head.
yeah,
But
it's a little less sacred. I'll say it's a little less sacred as opposed to the old days. I'm not one of these guys that like, man, in the old days it was the greatest, because
yeah.
there's a lot of good points about now,
Oh
and
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
music now. There's better bands now than the Eagles. I mean, there's
Hmm.
better bands that have come out, recently than the bands like Boston and Journey and all the stuff that you
Hmm.
heard on terrestrial radio forever. They just don't get the attention because they don't have, the focus from people, from label, from a publicist, from
Yeah, and
from radio.
well, and
So
constant ramming it into people's brains. When you hear that song 50 times, you subconsciously you know that song, and you're either gonna like it or dislike it,
yeah,
but it's in your head, and it's harder to do that when somebody gives you a listen once and moves on because there's 20 million more songs that might be equally as good too. You never know. I mean, and
yeah,
but I suppose as long as you keep doing it for yourself, then you got nothing really to worry about. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to still pay your bills, then that's what I've been lucky as shit, man. I've traveled the country. I've gotten to do, and now, I just finally have been able to record my drums in my own room and like walk into a spot and do all of it by myself. And that's something I've wanted since a little kid. Like, oh, I want
well,
to be able to.
you are lucky, that's for sure. You're lucky, but you're also talented too, and that's one thing that doesn't go away. Is when somebody's talented and they're out there doing their thing and they're making records and playing shows, and they're at it. You do get a following. You do get fans, you get people that love Neil Allison. There's a lot of people that come and go because I'm going to try this, and then they try music, and then it's just another thing, and then they're going to try tennis
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. Or they're a
You know what I mean?
cook, or they're whatever. They're all of it.
Yeah, you're a musician, so you play your stuff, you put your stuff out there, and you're only going to get bigger. You're only going to get more fans. You're only going to get more people that know your music and know your records as you keep on doing this. We did a Facebook concert on Saturday, and it amazes me because I never really think about it, but to actually have fans is unbelievable. But that's also 30 years of playing music.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like, I mean, to get a couple thousand people to watch your video is only because I've kept at it forever,
Yeah,
and I haven't
absolutely.
stopped doing it. So it's one of those things that it's there for you as well, because like I said, you're talented, you've got great songs, you've got a great voice. You're going to put your stuff out there, and people are going to like, wow, I love Neil Allison. You heard Neil Allison? I mean, I've already heard people do it. My friend Rebecca Schneider, she loves it. She's like, I love
Yeah, yeah.
Neil, and because she saw
Well,
you
she
play.
she's an awesome music supporter anyway too, and that's the thing is I think once you
If it's good, she is. There's stuff that she doesn't like,
yeah.
but if it's really good, then you're gonna get fans like
Yeah,
her.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And those are and it's always awesome to meet people like that. And I know like a good handful of them that are just just really supportive music fans, and
Oh
a
yeah.
few of them are
Yep.
just whether they're filming stuff or keeping. Rich Woodrick, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's just been filming bands around the area for years, and you go to his page and it's just every band around, tons of
Yeah.
footage, and he's got band footage of everybody, and he's got to be to work at 4 a.m, but he'll still come out to the gig to catch a set. Just and he's been like that, and he'll go spots and travel and meeting people when you're gigging out all the time. Like you find the people that well, first of all, the people that aren't crazy or too crazy
Right.
anyway,
Or
and
too
then
crazy.
and then you
Yeah.
and then but when you start noticing when people show up to the gigs that like man, like he's a good listener or it's interesting to find people because you get your regulars when you're in a circuit as small as
Yeah.
we are currently, because
Yeah, definitely.
we're not really touring right now, or I guess I'm not. I can't speak for you.
No, I mean, I have my Midwest gigs. I do Michigan, I do Indiana, I do Illinois, Wisconsin, and Kentucky.
Mhm.
And once in a great while, I go out west. But yeah, I don't tour. Like go out for like 2 months
Yeah.
and then come home. I do like 4 shows a week, something like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not touring.
Yeah,
But when you do that too, I mean, you have your little niche of places that you go to. You get Neil fans, you get Neil Allison fans.
yeah,
And then they want
absolutely.
to come see you again. And
And
then
that's
you
the
have a
hard
record.
thing about doing what we do when you stay in a spot long is not you were kind of talking about doing the Facebook Live. You kind of can wear yourself down a little bit, or where you're.
Oh yeah.
When I moved to LA, when I came back for like a wedding or something, like those gigs were great because they hadn't heard me in 2 years. And when you're playing in the area 5, 6, 7 nights a week or 12
You got to get
nights
them
a
to come
week,
out
it's like
again. Yeah.
oh shit, it gets a little trickier there, but as long as you're having fun, I feel like other people are gonna have fun too. And
I can't agree more.
and,
Yeah, I don't
and
think anyone's ever disappointed to come see you play.
yeah, and if you can pay attention to the people that you like when you're like, oh man, this guy's been out here 3, 4, 5, 6 times. It's like maybe see if they want, like what they want to hear, and it's cool because I've met some amazing friends just from gigs and in all ages too. And really supportive people and people that appreciate having live music because it's getting with the digital stuff and DJs and karaoke and stuff, it's
Yeah.
the music's starting to thin, and so having spots that still support live music's pretty important. And,
Yeah, I don't take it for granted, and that's why anytime someone gives me a show, I promote it and get the word out and invite people. Just try and make it as good for the venue as it will be for me, because you always want to come back and get that repeat business, but somebody's gonna
and
take the chance on you.
There's nothing more soul crushing than playing to a group of 3 people that don't give a shit about you either.
Yeah,
so,
right. Yeah,
so,
Songs for No One, man. I got a
yeah,
song called "Songs for No One." It's songs about being an artist and no one hearing your music. It's like the hardest thing on earth to go and sit and play somewhere and people just don't hear it or don't come out or just don't listen. They could be there, but they're not there. Not for you. So like it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons Burnham's cool. There's certain venues in the area that maybe cater to music slightly better than the other spots too.
Oh yeah, Burnham is the best with it. They're amazing.
Yeah, and out west there's a few spots that were more like we're here for a show. My last gig I played was in Chesterton at the 219 Tap Room. I don't know if you played there, but they got
I haven't yet.
They got no TVs or nothing, so and I love that because you're forced. Now I'm the entertainment. When you got 70
Right?
TVs and you got all this shit going on.
Or one behind you.
Yeah,
when you're playing.
yeah. And then you think they're clapping.
Man.
They're clapping
Right,
for your song,
oh!
but it's a fucking Cubs home run.
Right?
Like, oh shit! I thought yeah. But playing at those spots that cater to the tunes more, those are great, and in spots where people are actually there to listen or have a better opportunity to listen. Because even if you come to listen to a band at a bar, if they got 25 TVs and people going crazy and yelling over at different things, it's not the same. And that's where it's harder to play certain types of music too in that type of environment. You can't go in there and like, here's my little soft folk song or like listen to my feelings when you're in a packed sports bar. You gotta bring it.
That's it.
You gotta either bring it or
that's the hardest thing is like, Terry Ann and I, playing different places. the bigger they are, the louder you have to be. Like you're saying about a sensitive little folk song. I've gotten away from a lot of that because, you really want to just, boom, get people's attention and energetic, loud, and it's such a hard thing. So,
it's weird too, because sometimes I feel like that might be in our own brains where it's like, oh shit, we got to come out with all the bangers real quick. But it's like sometimes maybe a listener does want to hear a few soft ones right out the gate. I mean, I don't know, and it's weird because it's like for us, it is like a lot of times it's your first impression, so it's like it's hard to not play something where you're like, all right, well, it's. And obviously every crowd's different too, but I mean every night's going to be different a little bit. But
yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. We did our last Facebook show, Terry, and we did more of the folky stuff, more of the stuff that's a little softer side, which was really nice to be able to do. We got some great response for that, which was like, I haven't heard you play this one in forever.
This platform's pretty good for doing that too, though, man.
It's great.
And so that's a benefit. Exactly. Yeah. So. There's going to be some benefits to this, and there's going to be some negatives, but as long as we roll with the positives, man, I think we're going to be good. And
I'm with you, Neil.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, shit, I appreciate you being on the show today, and it's been a hell of a time, really, man. I'm sorry about all the mess-ups, and, obviously that's going to happen on the first time, I suppose, but it's been fun having you on, for sure.
I'm honored to be hanging out with you, and I was just super excited that you asked me to be on your podcast, Neil. You're a great musician, and you carry on the tradition of putting on a great show, playing great original music, and also like killing the covers that you do. I mean, you're a dynamo, dude. And
hey, thanks
I don't say that lightly, and I can't say that to everybody. This conversation would be happening with another artist that I'm talking to. You're the real deal. And,
hell yeah, man! I appreciate it. You too, dude. And real authentic and great person, great energy to be around, and there's a reason you've been playing so many years. For sure.
Well, thank you, brother.
Hell yeah,
appreciate it, man.
Thanks for being on, and we'll hopefully do this again for sometime soon.
Sounds great, man. Have me on again, brother. Okay.
Thanks a lot, dude. Appreciate you. All right, guys, you've been listening to Headphones and Microphones.